So in this video, I'm going to talk briefly about the history of Dukun beranak and bidan in colonial Indonesia. So I have another video which is about the history of midwifery in Singapore. So you'll see, I'll link it here below, and then you can see there's a lot of similarities, but then because of the size of Indonesia, of course, then there are some differences in some respects. So in the late 19th century, the Dutch colonial government tried to also eliminate the role of traditional midwives, which are known as the Dukun bayi or Dukun beranak in their colonies. And the Dutch colonial doctors tried to replace them with modern medical professionals, specifically these formally trained midwives. So you can see in the picture here on the left, the two women on the left would be the medically trained midwives. However, the communities continued to support their traditional Dukun beranak because they trusted them for a long time. So around 1825, the first midwifery school was opened in Batavia, but there was not a lot of interest. The local residents preferred their Dukun bayi or Dukun beranak, and ultimately this midwifery school closed down because there was just a lack of students. In 1886, the colonial government tried to open another new midwifery school, and there were a numbers of women that did graduate, but then these bidan, they faced, challenges like low income, a lot of work pressure, and rejection from their community, which still relied a lot on their dukun bayi or dukun beranak. There was one uh, doctor named Van Buren. He was a Dutch doctor who was stationed in Kediri. Okay, in May 1898, there are these two midwives who were called Jasmina and Tasminton, and they were sent to Kediri. The colonial government introduced the new medically trained midwives to Kediri, which is a regency in eastern Java. So the colonial government hoped that the presence of these medical midwives would shift the dominance of the Dukun bayi. So this was also followed by a survey of midwives conducted by the local government in Kediri. And there, the traditional midwives, the Dukun, were prohibited from handling childbirth independently. So they were only allowed to assist the bidan, the women on the left, and continue their roles more of being a companion to the mothers and the babies after the birth was completed. So the Dutch colonial doctor who started this policy, he took this photo of several Dukun bayi that he met around 1909 in Kediri. So in his reports, he referred to these Dukun as being angels of death. He criticized them as being unqualified, noting that many of them, as you can see in the photo, were elderly, blind, deaf, or suffering from skin diseases. So this doctor, along with a Javanese doctor and a translator, surveyed 35 midwives. He found that there was a lot of evidence, according to him, to stop the practices of the Dukun. And not all local doctors agreed with his approach because the local doctors respected the knowledge of the Dukun in addressing a lot of health issues. So we can see that in the Dutch case, their attempts failed. So unlike you see in the British case in Singapore, that almost all the bidan were eliminated in Singapore. But again, that's because Singapore is very small, and we have as the rural areas developed, and it was very easy to usher all the women into the urban hospitals. So in Indonesia, as of 2008, their Ministry of Health has regulated that dukun beranak cannot handle childbirth alone. So they can accompany the bidan, the medically trained bidan, and they can assist in postnatal care. So doing massage, wrapping, bathing the baby, wrapping the baby, and so on. So these photos come from Hesselink's book. You can see here the title, Genesis of the Colonial Markt. Healers in the Colonial Market. Inheemse doctors en vroedvrouwen in Nederlands Oost-India. Indigenous doctors and midwives in the Dutch East Indies, 1850 to 1915.